stealing our car. Well, the lady that I'm representing in the court, she kind of grinned at all this, and she said, "Do you remember a man named Mr. Kiakas?" I said, "Of course I remember the man." And I may have mentioned him last time I was here, because it's been 2 or 3 years ago. This man came to the office for me to prepare some documents for his will, power of attorney, trust, different things for the state. He was an engineer. He said he didn't believe in anything. He said he was an atheist. He didn't even want to pray when I talked about praying with him and for him. But anyway, he said, "No, I don't believe in that kind of stuff." And the reason he was there, he said, "I had 2 doctors that told me that I'll be dead by Christmas." And I said, "Why don't we go get a 3rd opinion?" He said, "Well, I could get another one, be the same thing." I said, "Oh no, I'm not talking about getting a doctor. I'm talking about getting an opinion from the Lord Jesus." He said, "Oh, I don't believe any of that stuff." He said, "They call me a cynical old man," but I'm not a cynical old man. I'm a practical old man. I'm an engineer. And he said, "I just don't believe in that stuff." And I said, "I don't care whether you believe it or not. I believe it. And if you don't object, I'm going to pray for it." Well, whether I want that or not. I said, "Well, I'm not going to force you, but I'd like to pray. I'd put that anointing on." And I said, "I'd like to pray for you before we leave." And he said, "Well, if you want to." And he sat down like a lump on a log, bowed his head, and I anointed him with oil and prayed for him and asked God to extend his life. And after we finished praying, he sat there with tears in his eyes, and he said, "You know, when I was a teenager, I was an altar boy in the Greek Orthodox Church." And I said, "That's wonderful. I'm so glad you told me that, because the seed that God put in you that made you want to be an altar boy is still there."
That's right.
Because the gifts and calling of God are like repentance, and once He puts it there, it's there. And I said, "It's there. Whether you tell me you don't believe it or not, it's there. And I think you need to make peace with your family. You don't want your family to know when you're going to die. You don't want them to come to the funeral. You don't want them to do that." I said, "We're not going to do any of that kind of stuff. But my advice to you is call in Illinois, become reconciled with your family." He didn't have any children. And make a trip to Europe or somewhere and spend some of this money you're worrying about who you're going to give it to. And enjoy whatever time you have left with God. Well, all right. I will. Well, this is now 2 or 3 years later. I wondered what happened to the old gentleman, because he was convinced he was going to be dead by Christmas. This lady, this week, as we come out of court, now she said, "Do you remember?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I'm a real estate." I said, "I know you're a real estate broker." She said, "He called me. He wants me to sell his home." I said, "Is he still alive?" She said, "He's still alive." Said he said he's in bad shape, but he's still alive. And he told me about you. He told me about you praying for him, and he still acts like he's not sure he believes it. But here it is, 2.5 years later, and he's still alive. So see, the seed is planted there, and here it is showing fruit in this lady's life here. She said, "Yes, he told me about that, and how you prayed for him, and how he is still alive and going." But you see, you and I, as we just move around and in our normal day-by-day activities, God can take whatever our normal activities are and turn it into a miracle for Him. I've seen so many things happen in the law practice that makes me know that God doesn't want to use you, but use whatever it is He called you to do. In that same court I was in, one morning a man had come to see me. He was somebody here a while ago, something about a criminal lawyer. This man come to see me and wanted to know if I could represent him in a federal criminal case. I said, "Oh no." I said, "It would be criminal if I took it." I said, "There's not much I can do." He said, "But someone recommended you to me from up in North Georgia, and they were talking about you being a good lawyer and all. I said, well, I'm the one that started the rumor that I'm a good lawyer. But I don't handle it. And he told me what the problem was, what he was charged with in the federal court law. So I referred him to another lawyer. And I said, you need a lawyer, all right, but my advice to you is there's some reason when God sent you by him first. You need to commit your life to Christ. Amen. You need to let the Lord Jesus be alive in your life. And I'm not saying he'll get you out of going to the chain gang or the federal prison, but I'm saying that he'll change your life. He'll change some of the circumstances you've been describing to me that's got you in the mess that you're in, and he will bless you. He doesn't care what you've been involved in. He can make the rest of your life more fruitful. Well, he left and went on his way. So 3 months went by. The telephone rings at the office. It's the clerk of the court, the same court I was in there. I'll tell you about it. And we're looking for Mr. and she called the lawyer's name. I said, well, this is not his office. Well, it had his name and had this number. I said, what are you calling about? I'm calling about the case of Harvey Dean Scott. Harvey Dean Scott. I don't know anything about that. Well, the case has been tried. This man and 3 others have been convicted. Today is a sentencing day. The other 2 have already been sentenced. And the reason we haven't sentenced Mr. Scott is because his lawyer didn't show up. And this is the number we had. I thought, oh Lord, I do remember the case now. So I called the lawyer that I'd referred the case to and told him to call him from the court. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just now waking up. You know, and I said, the man is over there in the court now. He's sentenced today, Bob. And he said, oh, can you go over that for me? I said, I didn't even remember the man's name. Certainly don't know anything about the case. He said, well, go over and just explain to him why I wasn't there this morning, and I'll come. So there's a visiting judge from Alabama handling these cases. And I said, I'll go over there and try to explain to the court what happened. 1 o'clock, court is convening. I met this man there, and I told him, I said, Mr. Bob so-and-so can't be here. He's indisposed. And I'll appear with you and let the judge either give you a sentence or get it put off where your lawyer can be here. And he said, well, he said, I need somebody here to speak for me. And I said, do you remember the one time I met you? Yeah. I said, and I said to you that you need that the Lord be active in your life and let God help you. Yes. I said, well, I don't know of anything you can do at this stage of the game except just pray. He stopped right there in the aisle and he closed his eyes and started praying. Well, I stood up, went over and joined hands with him, and I'm standing there with him in the aisle, in the courtroom. You know, on sentencing day they have all the friends, the preachers, and everybody else. So there's a pretty good crowd there. And we're standing and praying, and 3 raps of the gavel and everything got silent. The door opens behind the judge's bench. And here comes the judge, Judge Johnson from Alabama, and I've never seen him. When that happened, of course, I turned toward the court. And he walked up and sat down in his chair, and he said, the case of the United States of America versus Harvey Dean Scott. He didn't move anything but his eyeballs and just looked up like that, you know. And I said, if Your Honor, please. And as I said, if Your Honor, please, I felt God's anointing, God's Spirit just fall on me. The judge sits there like this. I said, I have not represented Mr. Scott, Your Honor, until this moment. Mr. So-and-so, his attorney, can be and ask me to come over here and appear for him. And I said, Mr. Scott, and I started talking about Mr. Scott, where he's from, and this kind of what little I knew about it. And we were walking through the